Hi, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Now That You Mention It podcast with Roland J.
I'm Roll.
And I'm Jay. And before we get started today, guys, we just kind of wanted to remind everybody that if you like what we're doing, if you'll hit the like and subscribe button down at the bottom, that way you'll be warned when new content comes out. But, in case you haven't noticed it, we are brothers. This is my older brother, Roland. I'm Jesse. You can call me Jay. During this time of COVID 19 and shelter at home and stay at home and all the good stuff, we decided, we both have a lot of stuff to talk about. And so we decided, hey, let's do a podcast and let's see where this goes.
Yeah, and particularly because right now in our selected professions, me in particular, not really doing a whole lot anyway. So I agree. I think it is a great time for you and I to try something new. Uh, we have another brother that's doing his own podcast, and he kind of turned us on, and we felt like this might be something that we could continue to just talk about things in general. And so I personally am looking forward to this. I'm excited. I know we'll make a few mistakes because we're just getting started. We're still learning, but let's give it a go, Jay. See how
Yeah,
we do.
absolutely. That's you and I have been talking, for a while about a couple of different things during this lockdown, how it's affected our life and things like that. So, we came up with a couple of issues that, I think everybody's talking about right now. And I think the biggest issue for me, and I think for most people is, what are we doing now with all this extra time? Because I think that that's one of the I don't want to say benefits because I don't think there really are any benefits of what's happening right now. A lot of people are getting sick. A lot of things are going on. It's throwing the world for a loop. But I've heard it talked about a couple different places that I think this is Mother Nature's way of just kind of putting us all in check. And I think we're getting a little too big for our britches. And so it's kind of stopping everybody down. And I think we're all starting to find time to do things now that we didn't have time to do because you're busy running around. I'm married, you're married, got kids. um, so I've always told myself, man, I really really would like to do a podcast. Um, I've been a couple different management roles for a long time. You have your own real estate company, so we have a lot of knowledge of a lot of different things. And I always felt like I had uh, knowledge to share. I always told myself, because I'm a trainer. I've been a trainer for 20 years with several different companies. I always told myself that if I wasn't a trainer, if I didn't like what I do now, I would have been a teacher. The only thing is, I don't like kids that much. So, I didn't do it. I like training older adults. But because when they start to talk back, I can smack them. It's no big deal. You hit a kid, all of a sudden everybody wants to get uppity about it, send you to jail, all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, I agree. Uh, I think both of our backgrounds have given us has taken up have taken us down different paths. It's opened up a whole different skill set to the both of us. I know for you personally, and watching you go through uh, several different companies, that you always seem to start at the bottom, work your way to a quasi managerial level, and then you grow frustrated. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of that has to do too with the fact that you continually want to keep going up,
yeah,
but in certain organizations, there's just a certain level that you're going to reach before you kind of plateau. And
yeah,
I think sometimes you get frustrated about that. But I concur. Like even in my business, it's been an evolution. Um, we both have strong food backgrounds because of our family's business in the tortilla manufacturing business, and that's where we both kind of learned about business, how to get started.
right.
And then as I evolved, me personally, get into the real estate field and doing everything from brokerage, a little bit of property management, and now investing. Uh, you do find ways to just fill your plate every single day. And I think with this COVID, uh, situation, aside from, as you said, a lot of misfortune with people getting ill and death, and quite frankly, to some degree, all of us kind of being a little scared,
Yeah.
is that being at home has caused us to rethink about who we are and what we want to do. And I think this is a great time for us to try this. We have been thinking about, how do the topics that we talk about, and as well as I do, sometimes when it's just us brothers, we come up with some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Very funny, sometimes very thought provoking. I think we're notorious for being big thinkers. And so the fact that we're trying to do this podcast thing is, I think, a step in the right direction, because at least we're giving it a shot. Whether we do well or not, who knows? But at least we're trying.
Yeah. And, I always tell people that we grew up in the wrong era, because if YouTube had been around when we were kids, we would have been YouTube millionaires a long time ago. Because, there were some things that we did in our past that were a little, shocking. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Jackass.
Oh, yeah.
We were Jackass before Jackass was on MTV.
Yeah, that's true.
We come from a big family. There's 8 of us. There's 5 of us, 6 of us brothers and 2 sisters. And so we're all kind of close in age. A couple of years apart, and then start getting, further apart up until you get to like Philip and Erica and, everywhere else down the line. But, skating off the roof of a house onto a shed.
Jumping off a trampoline.
Jumping off a trampoline.
Off the roof. Yeah. No, it's.
There's things we should have been, YouTube millionaires a long time ago. But,
starting a field fire and trying to put it out with a three-wheeler.
Three-wheeler, yeah, that was not my greatest moment. That's on the very long list of not my greatest moment things. That one's near the top. But
I agree.
But we all have extra time on our hands, and for me, one thing, my beautiful wife is stuck at home. She is a hairstylist, and her salon closed down 3 weeks ago when the stay-at-home order came out in Dallas County. So she's been stuck at home. She does have asthma, so it's kind of one of those things where it's kind of a double banger for her, because her business got shut down, and she's got that one underlying health issue that's probably the worst one to have with the COVID-19, breathing problems.
Right.
And so she's been stuck at home, and now she's got this project list for old Jay that's it's about 4 pages long, and the one major project that she has on the list is the one thing that we're in the middle of right now. We're switching rooms because she did discover that one room is about 2 square feet bigger than the room we're in. So apparently 2 square feet makes a big difference. And so yeah, we're right now, everything's kind of moved out of that room. We're in the process of painting the room, trying to get everything set up to move into that room. It sure has given her a lot of time to go onto the Pinterest and the Home Depot webpage and say, hey, I really like the way that looks. Let's do that.
Yeah. I find Catherine does a lot of projects. Her and Annabelle have done everything from making coasters using acrylic epoxy to make these coasters, to we're painting a window in the den so that we can have a religious theme to it. And she's just finding all little projects to do. And I think a lot of it is just we're trying to figure out how to cope with all this additional time. She is a nurse, and so we do worry about her when she's at work, but she has a schedule where she's working consecutive days, and then she has several days off. So between that and me working from home pretty much 100% of the time now, we finally decided to try and organize just years and years worth of paperwork that had just been stacking up in my home office. And believe it or not, we've gotten rid of so much stuff. Started scanning a bunch of documents that I wanted to get into my my online file cabinet anyway. So that's pretty much been done. And so now I'm going through and organizing my virtual file cabinet, purging old files from there, and reorganizing those files. But yeah, I mean, right now that deals are slow. Not everything come to a complete stop, but
Right.
quite a bit. But things that are still working are still working. They're working at a turtle's pace right now.
Yeah.
And so, you know, to fill the time, dabbled a little bit in day trading just to,
Wow.
you know, keep some money coming in, but also just to kind of keep my mind occupied. Obviously, with sports being out of the way, been turning my interest a little bit more to try and broadening my investment skills, if you will.
And you remember shortly after 9/11, when the automobile industry just tanked.
Mhm.
You remember when shares of like GM and Ford were trading at like 25 cents a share?
I don't think they got down low, but they got low. I mean, I
remember we tried to talk Dad into buying a bunch of shares of.
No, we did. We actually did. Yeah. At the time, Dad had just sold a piece of property, and we took about $10,000 and we put it into the stock market. I mean, we had shares of Ford and GM. We bought AIG. We bought Sprint. We bought AT&T. All the big companies, because at that time their stock prices just were in the tank. And,
and the one thing we couldn't get Dad to understand that this is a long game. This is a long con.
Bro,
you know,
honestly, I figured out that if we'd have stuck with it, that initial $10,000 investment would probably be worth about $150,000 today.
Yeah. So I actually started looking at stocks because I do have a few, you know, I've got some money invested in the stock market as well. Probably not as much as you do, not on that grand a scale, but I do. And the other day I was looking at stocks of American Airlines. And at one point, American was down to $7 a share. So I bought in. You know, I bought, you know, a good chunk of American Airlines stock, and now I'm just going to sit on that for a while because I know at one point it was trading at $50 a share. So,
right.
Heck, if I can just get it back up to that $50 a share in the next 10 years.
Well, even if you just get back into $35, $40 a share, you know, you will more than 5 times, you know, return your money 5 times. And
yeah,
I'm the same way. There are a couple of investments that I feel like I bought at a good price. I'm just going to try and hold on to them for as long as I can. Some of the other money that I have, I'm just kind of trying to play, you know, I buy at a certain price, and if it reaches a certain price, I sell, and just wait and see if I can find other stocks to buy. Overall, it's, you know, it's hit and miss. I mean, it's like gambling to some degree. I mean, yeah, it really is. Unless it's kind of like I when I talk about trying to understand the stock market, it's tantamount to I say like a pro scout in any sport.
Right.
Those guys are professionals. Those guys, that's their job. They're every single day they're evaluating talent. They're looking for the next superstar. And even they don't have a great track record. A lot of those guys, they whiff just like we do. So even the guys that are very, very good at that job, you know, no one can predict the future with certainty. So it is a gamble. But you know, I try to stick with companies that I think are vital to day-to-day economy, and to some degree that you hope are too big to fail. You just know that everybody's going through a down cycle right now. But for the most part, it's between that and, again, getting organized. I don't know if you can see my shelf back here with all these books, but I mean, that's one of the projects we got done, and just getting all my properties organized and paperwork put in the right places. But the that, and then trying to figure out what do I want to do. Trying to read more, trying to what's a skill set that I want to develop. What is something that right now that we've got free time, I can I can work towards, whether it's understanding investing better, whether it's, starting to grow my faith a little more, whether it's, to be honest with you, just even becoming a better consumer of entertainment.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about the other day, the Star Wars movies and things of that ilk. I really have not allocated a whole lot of time to that. So,
I think that's one of the things that I think hopefully a lot of people are getting out of this is what kind of projects are we doing to improve ourselves? I know, my wife, she got hooked up with this life coach, and she's involved in a bi-weekly or 2 times a week Zoom class. So she's on with this life coach for an hour and a half, twice a week. She's kind of going through, she, like a bunch of other people, they kind of went through a slight depression with, salon shutting down, business for her coming to a standstill because that's her livelihood. And just being stuck at home all day. That, I think that wears on a lot of people. I don't think people realize. I mean, there are some people who this is joy for them, being stuck at home.
Right.
But for her and I, we're not homebodies. We're not the kind of people that are like to be home all the time. We both love to travel. We try to take a couple of trips every year. We try to get out, try to broaden our horizons that way, but not being able to get out and see, things that we've never experienced before via travel. Now we're looking at ways, what are we doing to get better indoors? So I found myself with enough time to be able to listen to a couple of books on audio. That's one of the great things about, about technology today. You don't actually have to sit down to read the book anymore. I can multitask and do a couple of things by listening to audiobook. Malcolm Gladwell's got a couple of titles that I was, I had read a couple of his books already, but there was a couple of more that I wanted to get into. So I'm really trying to get into improving myself that way. I mean, to me, that's more spiritual for me than, I'm not the most religious guy in the world. I do believe in God. But I'm not the guy that goes to church every Sunday. We go,
right.
When we feel like we need it, we'll head to church. I know you and the family, you guys are, consistent churchgoers. You guys are in church every Sunday. I'm not, but you're more consistent about it than I am. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, but I mean, I think a part of that too is just because we chose to send our children to Catholic school for their education. So just inherently being involved with the school and then thus the church by extension. We are, but even then, I mean, I prefer honestly to do a lot of prayer by myself. Occasionally I'll pray with the, with Kathy and the kids. We do try to, pray fairly regularly, but I'm like you, bro. I'm not necessarily the most devout, and even then I'm not necessarily structured. I myself have questions about faith, and some of those questions really just kind of tell me, or I ask myself, what do I want to believe in, and how do I keep those values, whatever I do have, and just make those a part of who I am every day. But it's I do a lot of, I actually, when I'm by myself, I find myself talking to God.
Yeah.
Not just praying to him, but talking to him, just having conversations. And I also think that, in Catholicism, you believe in a trilogy. you believe in God, you believe in Jesus, and then you believe in the Holy Spirit. But I personally also believe a lot in the women in our faith, because I thought to myself, God is all powerful. He's all omniscient, and so he chose to bring Jesus into the world through a woman. So that with me carries a lot of weight. So I make sure that I say my Hail Marys, and I say a few prayers, and I try to be pretty consistent in remembering her in just about all my reflections. But at the end of the day, it's still very personal to me.
Yeah.
It's me having that conversation by myself, and it's in Catholicism or through the church, you're taught about doing your confession and seeking seeking forgiveness of your sins. But I don't necessarily feel like I have to do that to a priest.
Yeah, I'm the same like you. I find myself I have my time with God every day. I on the way to work is when I find my quiet reflection time. My commute into and out of the office every day is 15 minutes. And that's my time with God. That's I've always had people tell me, well, you must not be spiritual because you don't go to church. I've admitted that I don't go to church. I'm not the biggest church goer. We do have a church. It's not Catholic, although we were raised Catholic. We don't go to a Catholic church. The church that we frequent is in Plano. We don't live in Plano. We live in Oak Cliff, and that's a drive for us. So every Sunday, we're not making that drive to the church out in Plano. We're Sunday is really the only day that before this happened, before the COVID-19 hit and everybody was sequestered to the house, was the only day that we really had together due to our work schedules. My work schedules, typically range from a Monday to Saturday or a Tuesday to Friday shift. But those days when I'm not working, Diana's working. So,
right.
It's hard for us to find time to sync together all the time. I mean, she's working every Saturday. So any Saturday weekend that I may have off, Saturday that I have off, she's at work. So Sunday's really the only day that we have for each other. And as much as I like discussing the word with other people, there's some Sundays I don't want to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, get dressed and head to church. I don't want to roll out of bed till 10, make breakfast for my wife. But I find my time throughout the week, every day to talk to God.
Sure.
And I think that's important for me. There are people out there who don't believe in God. That's their faith. That's their,
right.
deal. I'm not here to push my beliefs on other people. My beliefs are my beliefs. Your beliefs are your beliefs.
Right.
Is one of the reasons why they always tell you don't talk to people about church and politics,
right?
Because you're not going to want to hear what everybody has to say, and I'm fine with that. Some people don't like what I have to say. There's those friends that I have on Facebook that will unfriend you at the drop of a dime if you say, "Oh, Donald Trump is a great president," or if you say, "No, Nancy Pelosi is the way to go."
Right.
And I mean, all it takes is for you even to agree with any politician, and all of a sudden, we in society, we've gotten to the point where that's your label, that's your scarlet letter. Oh, you like something Donald Trump said? Oh, you must be one of his supporters, and you must, you must be one of those people.
Right.
Not so much. I will admit this. I'm a lifelong Republican, have been for a long time.
Right.
This past election was the first time that I didn't vote Republican for president.
Yeah, no, me either.
I voted independent. There's no way I was going to vote Democrat. I'm not a Democrat. So I voted independent for president. But as far as the Republican ticket, there were a lot of people that I still liked on the ballot that I voted Republican for. But you
Right.
know, because I label myself a Republican, and I told people that openly, hey, you know, in discussion, yeah, I'm a Republican. And first thing, oh, well, God, you're a Donald Trump supporter. Well, no, that's not what I said, you know.
Right.
And I think that's the problem with society today is that people don't take that time to actually listen to what anybody else has to say. They read the headline, you know.
Right.
People who, one of my biggest pet peeves is people who'll take a Facebook post or a social media post, read the headline, and immediately start sharing that post without even reading the content of the post.
Yeah,
Or
I think that's
even doing research on the post.
right. I think the part of that is a byproduct of today's culture where everybody just wants to be first. Everybody just wants to throw out the first headline. Everybody wants to be the first one to create the shock value. I think people are too obsessed with trying to grab fame wherever they can get it, and controversy is the number one mechanism to do that. And just people out there who have no really vested interest in the subject matter. They're just trying to be contrarian because they want to stir the pot. They want people to talk about them, and it's as the adage says, the only bad press is no press, right? And so,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I'm the same way. I identify Republican, although I really don't kind of put a label on it. I'm just more conservative in my values and my thoughts and how I vote. But I'm the same way. I couldn't consciously vote for Donald Trump. I don't think he's the right guy for the job. He's there.
Yeah.
He's our president. I respect him as the president. I don't necessarily respect him as a person because I think he's too degrading. He belittles people, and I think he's got such a high self-opinion that he's just not in my opinion, he's just not necessarily a good person.
Yeah.
And but by the same token, I didn't think much of Hillary Clinton either, and there have been times when I have voted Democrat if I thought the candidate was the better choice. Relatively few times, but I have done it. I do try to do a little bit of homework, which is funny because we come from a family of mainly Democrats or Democratic supporters.
Right.
And, I remember going to Grandma's house, having dinner with her, and she would always get on to me about voting for George Bush and how could I be a Republican, and how could I support that agenda? And I think it's just because the culture for her growing up was you were a Democrat, you voted Democrat, you were a little bit more liberal in your leanings, which kind of surprised me because she was a small business owner.
Yeah.
And so I always felt like, that was.
But I think in her time it was because the Democratic Party had placed themselves as the party of color. We represent the African American, we represent the Hispanic.
Right.
And that line of thinking, a lot of times when people think Republican, the one thing that pops in mind is rich white person.
Right.
And they think because you're Hispanic or because you're African American that you must be Democrat. Well, not necessarily. I mean, I'm like you. I'm so in the middle. I think that, I saw this graphic on Facebook that a friend of ours had posted that had it was just a line graph. And at the very end of this part of the line graph, were the hard conservative Republicans, and at this end of the line graph were the leftist leaning liberals, and that's the people everybody hears, and it's the people in the middle nobody pays attention to.
Right.
The ones in the middle, and I think that's where I stand. I'm that person in the middle because I'm like you. There are some Democrats that I listen to and I go, man, there's some really good ideas there, and but there's some people I just Hillary Clinton was one of them. I couldn't put myself behind her.
Right.
And what's funny is I liked her husband. I like Bill Clinton. You
Yeah.
know, um, um, you know, but her, I don't know. There's just something about her that I just couldn't, get behind.
Well, and I think that speaks to a bigger issue about politics
Yeah,
in general. Is we tend to vote for people that we like, whether we're 100% certain of their values,
mhm.
whether their values necessarily mesh with ours. But if we like their charisma,
Yeah,
if we like their personality, they have they say the right things that resonate with us in their message. Well, we tend to follow them, and sometimes I feel like we get into this blind faith uh, mentality when we follow certain
yeah,
people. You just kind of say, well, I think it's just we forget sometimes that you got to question authority no matter who it is,
yeah. Of course.
and you've got to constantly the way I look at it, and to go back to that graph is, I think that graph indicates that through so many other topics. For
Yeah,
example, you talk about poverty. That same graph is representative of, you got the rich people, and then you have the very poor people, and then you've got the majority of us in the middle that are carrying most of the weight,
yeah,
and we're subsidizing the poverty, but we're also making the rich richer.
yeah,
And so, I the way I boil it down, you got to be true to who you are. Hopefully, there's a lot more people that are centered, uh, and really, I still believe I have a huge faith in humanity that
yeah,
the average person is good, and that if given the choice, we will collectively try to help each other. There are a few people that are greedy. There are a few people that are selfish, and again, that's at both ends of that spectrum. So it doesn't necessarily um, translate into who we are. I think collectively, as if you're in the middle somewhere, whether you lean to the right or to the left, if you're more centralized, more in the center, I think we find opportunities to find common ground and work together. So, just my 2 cents.
no, and I think that's I'm kind of in that same boat. I find myself down the middle with so many things, um, that it sometimes I catch myself leaning too far this way or too far that way, and I'm like, what I have to re-examine. I'm real big on doing my own research. I'm real big on
Uh-huh.
when somebody tells me, hey, well, you know what, this stimulus is bad because of this, or no, this stimulus is good because of this. I want to kind of go out and read everything that I can about the stimulus package. What really is included, because there's too many people out there throwing out too much false information, just for the sake of riling people up, just for the sake of you know turning people from or against uh, you know something else. And I think there's too many decisive people out there, or too many divisive people out there,
Right.
that are their whole goal and their whole mentality is just to divide everybody.
Well, and I also think too, bro, that part of again going back to every person's internal values, we could probably read the same sentence and come away with two different meanings, because it all depends on how we put our own personal spin. I mean, that's one of the things about I liken it to people study the Bible. The Bible is a text that is interpreted by man, and it's men that are reading it,
Yeah,
or humanity, I should say. And so we're open to interpretation. Some people can read the same verse, and they just have different meaning for each person. And
yeah, and there's those
same
people
thing with, and that's the thing about in today's environment, social media is everybody has their own opinion, and unfortunately, if you take the unpopular side of it, people just jump on you. People criticize you. People, some people even go as far as making death threats against people for opinions,
Yeah.
right? And we try to celebrate in this country. That's what we try to celebrate, is everybody should be able to have an opinion. But if you have the wrong one, you're going to pay for it.
yeah. Does your opinion align with my opinion? That's what matters. But
Right.
you know, it's funny because you know you talk about the Bible, and you know, I've known people that, man, the word of the Bible is that's God's word, and you know, in my mind, I said, you know, guys, it's not like God sat at a desk and penned a bestseller, right?
Right.
This is the word of God interpreted through the eyes of man, through the brain of man.
Right.
You know, and a lot of people don't, you know, they don't do the research. I've done research, and I can tell you, the Bible, as it's written today, was, you know, is the stories that are in the Bible were taken to a conclave way back in, you know, the 1300s. And everybody, you know, submitted their ideas for this book that should be in the Bible, and they voted on. You know, it was people of power who voted on what should have gone in the Bible to begin
Right.
with. You know,
So what you're saying is there was filtering.
exactly. So
Someone filtered something, right? And that's,
yeah, it's not like I said, it's not like God put all this stuff down on a piece of paper and said, "Hey, publish this. This is my word."
right.
You know, it was this priest and this cardinal and this pope and their brain trust who sat in an office one day in the 1300s and said, "I think this book should be in there. I don't think this book should be in there. I think this should be included. I don't think that." They were the early editors, right?
Right.
And they decided what went in the Bible, and that became the word. And before you know it, that's farmed out to all the billion Catholics that are in the world, and all the, you know, billion Christians that are in the world. And hey, guys, this is what God believes in. Well,
Right.
is it really what God believes, or is it what those guys believe that God believed? You know, and that's what
Right.
you're talking about, the filtering. You know, that's what it is. So, but yeah, I mean, there's so many different interpretations of everything, man. There's different interpretations of the Bible, of politics, of cooking. You know, you know that.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
you like you said earlier, we have a family business that deals with you know, food manufacturing and Mexican food manufacturing, and in particular tamales. But you know, Grandpa had his recipe for tamales. We know that. We know that. Yeah, Dallas tortilla. You know, Grandpa had his interpretation of tamales, but as that filtered down, as you know, after Grandpa passed, and you know, Dad had his idea of what a tamale should taste like. Uncle Matt has his idea of what a tamale should taste like. Uncle Edward has his idea of what tamale should taste like. So it kind of just starts to filter down, and you know, everybody has their opinion, everybody has their make. So you know, now we wind up all eating, you know, different tamales from the same family. You know, and that's you know, that's what it is. Everybody has their opinion, and that's awesome. You know,
Yeah. I agree.
so you know, I know food has been a big factor in our life. I find myself, one thing that I find myself doing during this is cooking more.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
particularly grilling out. You know, we have a grill, and I use it a couple of times during the summer every year, but you know, only on special occasions. You know, 4th of July, whatever, we'll grill some stuff.
Right.
But I found myself, man, just I'm really getting back into the grilling. I the other day for Easter, I smoked a brisket and some ribs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it
Very
was
nice.
oh, man, it was good. So I find us eating at home more
Yes.
during
Yeah.
all this. So I mean, like, what are you guys doing? You know, as
Well,
far
I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, we're, you know, I would dare say we're probably so stuck in routine that we cook the same things every couple of weeks. You know, the easy make dishes are on the menu: spaghetti, tacos. You know, we did for Easter, we did a ham, and Catherine made deviled eggs. We did brownies, and then I myself have tried making a couple of different soups and guisos just to try, to spice it up a little bit. But for the most part, that we've just been cooking the mainstays. In fact, tonight she made beans, so I'm gonna refry some beans here in a little bit, and probably make a couple of bean and cheese tacos for dinner. But yeah, no, we still try to do a little bit of ordering out just to try and keep some of the restaurants, particularly the restaurants in our neighborhood. We're trying to keep them afloat. So we try to do our fair share of takeout and delivery to the house. But certainly we're doing a lot more cooking just because we're home. We're not going out nearly as often. And so in the mornings I make breakfast. Annabelle she's relatively low key, so she likes prepackaged breakfast stuff. So
yeah, and that was I guess my big question for like you, because you have your daughter at the house. One of your sons is home from college because they shut the college down, so he's
Right.
staying there, and even though he's working, he's eating at the house. Are they particularly picky eaters?
Very picky. The thing is, they have their 5 or 6 items that they really, really like, and they're just not adventurous in trying new things. Now, RJ, my oldest, he'll try something once or twice. In fact, he was not a very big seafood connoisseur up until about 4 or 5 years. No, actually longer than that. I think it's one of the trips we took down to Galveston, and we convinced him to try seafood, and now he's all over the place with it. But the other two, they're happy eating Hot Pockets and chicken nuggets and chips and honey buns and that kind of stuff. So we do try to, particularly with Annabelle, she'll eat salad, she'll eat veggies. So we try to make sure that she's getting at least that and some type of protein daily. But I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of junk food.
Yeah, I remember when she was born, she was real big on the veggies.
Oh gosh, yeah.
When she was younger, I remember she used to eat all the veggies. She was one of those weird kids that would eat, bell peppers and eat, tomatoes and things like that.
To this day, when we go to Subway, she wants the veggie delight. She won't eat anything with processed sandwich meat on it. She does not like that stuff. She'll either get a salad or she'll get a veggie sandwich. She'll eat her vegetables here at the house. She loves bell pepper and a salad when we make it, and carrots. And so I'm happy that she will eat that. But she's also notorious for getting into junk food.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that I noticed for us, eating out less just because restaurants are closed. We do go out a couple of times a week to try to, again, like you said, support local businesses. We there's this place we went to today to get breakfast, some breakfast burritos that were fabulous, by the way, out in East Dallas. But for the most part, we're eating at home, we're cooking more. My wife has gotten real into experimenting with different food options, things that she was never that big into cooking, but she's starting to get into it. She's watching more YouTube videos. She's watching, she's looking at recipes on Pinterest. Her and her sisters for Easter had a carrot cake bake-off, a virtual carrot cake bake-off. One of her sisters lives in South Dakota. The other sister, she's lives with her fiance in another part of Dallas, and they all decided they were all going to make a carrot cake to see who made the best carrot cake and how it came out. And they took pictures and sent it to each other. Things like that. She never baked. She wasn't a big baker. But she's baking things now. She's trying to make different cookie styles and things that, and she's experimenting a lot with keto stuff. Keto cookies and keto
Yeah.
bread and things like that, in an effort to help us eat a little bit healthier doing all this, because that I think that's the one drawback to this, is the fact that a lot of people are going to find themselves with what they call the COVID-15, man. They're going to be done with this, and they're going to be 15 pounds in and a little bit heavier, and the clothes are going to be a little bit tighter, and they're getting used to wearing sweats at the house, and when they have to go back to work and put on those business clothes, and those jeans don't fit, those slacks don't fit anymore, and that shirt doesn't fit anymore, and let's get the stores open again so I can go buy some new clothes, because man, I don't remember this being this tight.
Right. Or even just, getting, back to the gym to work out or anything. I mean, we take walks in the neighborhood and stuff, just to keep active. But no, you're absolutely right. It's real easy to get into snacking all day, eating more than you really need to, eating the wrong kinds of foods, particularly when you have young adults in the house, like I do with Alex and Annabelle. We have so many junk food items for them, so it's a little bit of a struggle for me to make sure I'm not eating too many chips and too many useless carbs. I mean, they're still young; their bodies can process it. Not me.
No, not me either. So we're trying a lot of different recipes, a lot of different things. Our eating habits have really changed during COVID-19, because we're not eating out. And the thing that amazes me is how little food it actually takes for us to get full. When you go to a restaurant, sometimes the monster portions that they put on your plate, and I think that, it's a mind game, because when you look at that plate, you go, man, I have to eat all this food because I know I'm not going to take it home and eat it tomorrow, because I'm not a big fan of leftovers. So if I don't eat it, it's just going to stay here. So I force myself to eat it. And I'm finding that here at home, we're cooking smaller portions, smaller batches, because we're not eating nearly as much as what you would eat in a restaurant. I mean, there'd be times we'd go to a restaurant and you just get that plate, and it really is enough food for two people. And man, it's like, I really ate enough food for two people. That's not healthy.
No.
And, I get here and I'm like, man, I'm full with 2 eggs and a couple slices of bacon and a piece of toast. Yeah. And I'm like, man, that was really filling. Why do I need to go to, somewhere else and have a big old 2-pound omelet and 6 slices of toast and, hash browns, and you can get by without eating all that stuff, man. You just can.
Right. Now, hey, I want to back up a little bit, because you talked about during this COVID and people getting, used to wearing jumpsuits or
sweatpants
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How have you been? Well, for you, it's a little bit different because you're still going into the office.
Yeah, I still go to work every day, so my clothes still has to fit.
Right.
But
well,
I do have
more about like hygiene and stuff. I recently shaved a couple of days, but before that, it'd been almost 3 weeks that I hadn't shaved.
Yeah.
And heck, some days you get up, and particularly what I do is, because a lot of my work is done on the phone anyway. And I come out here in a t-shirt and shorts, and maybe I come out here and make a few phone calls before I even step in the shower, and
I'm still into
my hair's all over the place. I'm notorious for having bedhead.
And that's the thing is, with my wife being a hairdresser, it's every day. She's got somebody on the phone. Can you come to my house and do my hair, please? And unfortunately, she hasn't been able to oblige that, just because she got a warning from the state, not because of anything that she did, but it was a stylist in Fort Worth that they busted making house calls, and the state of Texas basically sent out an email to all the stylists that they could, via text message, via email, via Facebook post that said, if you go to do house calls, if we catch you, you're going to lose your license. Your license is going to be suspended.
Wow.
So
that's pretty heavy duty.
it is, and it has, and for her, again, like I said, because she has asthma, it's a big fear for her to get out and do it anyway. But
Right.
She has clients begging her, please, please, please come to my house and do my hair, and offering ridiculous amounts of money to come do their hair. You talk about the hygiene thing, and it's like, man, that's a great opportunity to go make.
Oh my gosh,
money.
yeah.
what she's actually doing to make some money during this is putting together their color kits, the color
Right.
that she uses on their hair, and the different conditioners and the different mixes that she puts in their hair, putting together little care packages for them and selling those to them at a discounted price.
That's pretty smart. Yeah, that's
Oh
good.
yeah, and a lot of stylists are doing it, and it's not against the rules because they're not practicing. They're not
Right.
going and touching somebody. It's pretty much, hey, I'll meet you, either at our salon outdoors, and we'll make the exchange there, or I'll come to your house and I'll leave it in your mailbox and Venmo me the money, and that's what she's doing to make money right now. And a lot of her clients have taken her up on that. They're like, hey, yeah, hook me up, give me my colors, and she'll include, everything that they need: the color, the conditioners, the toners. She includes gloves. She includes a little brush to brush it in their hair. It's a whole package, and she just goes and drops it off to them. And half the amount of money she would typically charge them to do their hair is what most people are wanting, paying, and then they're tipping her really well for doing it because they're like, oh my God, thank you.
Right. Yeah, because it's helping them. Because they wouldn't have a clue. They wouldn't have a clue what to do.
One thing I'm learning through this crisis, man, is that women are way more vain about the way they look than men are.
You better.
Because you talked about you didn't shave for 3 weeks,
Right.
2 weeks or whatever, and
Right.
it didn't matter to you. You
No.
and I, we're getting up there in age. You can see the gray in my face.
Absolutely. The same here.
And I don't care. It is what it is,
Right.
But man, some of those women that gray starts to show, and they're like I said, she's getting texts every day. Will you please, 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 please come do my hair? I will pay you extra. And unfortunately, she can't. Not because she doesn't want to, but because she can't get out and do that because the state has mandated that, hey, you guys cannot go to people's houses and do their hair. That's just not going to work. You can put your license in jeopardy by doing that. And it is what it is. So, but yeah, she came up with the idea. Her and a couple of her friends, stylist friends, came up with this idea. Hey, you know what? I'll come drop your color off. I'll give you everything you need. I'll give you all the supplies. You pay me X amount of dollars, and I'll walk you through it over the phone if you want me to. She's been on a video with a couple of her clients to show them how to apply it.
Yeah.
She's thinking about doing her own podcast / YouTube series about how to apply hair color at home. But I told her, I said, hey, just be careful, because once you teach them how to apply that color, they may not come back. But, women.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, it's like, at the end of the day, you still want it done professionally.
Yeah.
And if, even if they attain some skill level in doing it themselves, they're never going to be as good as her. So, it's a situation where there's, and the other thing too is, it's almost like one of the reasons that you pay for certain services is some services you could do anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just the whip of doing it.
Yeah.
It's like dry cleaning. Every one of us is capable of ironing our own shirts, of ironing our pants. If you want
I'm not ironing my own shirts.
I'm with you. And so it's like, if the cost of dry cleaning goes up because of all this COVID stuff, and I'm paying it because I'm not going to stay home ironing my own shirts. Even though I grew up, we grew up, Mom taught us how to iron all our clothes, how to, properly fold it and put everything up and hang it and all that stuff. I'm not doing it. And so, here you go. Here's my money. I gladly give my money to you.
Yeah. And
take this off my hands.
Yeah, for me, that my big whip is detailing my car.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'll run it through. I will not hand wash my car. I'm sorry. I don't have the patience. I don't have the time. I have a really good car wash out by where I work that does a really good job on the outside. And then once they're done on the outside, they pull it out and they'll detail the inside. And I'm willing to pay extra for that just because I like keeping my car clean. But, man, I really don't want to have to be the one to do it.
No, I understand. I'm the same way. I will, every now and then, and I'm talking about maybe 3 times a year, I'll get in the mood where I don't mind washing the car. But
well, you're a better man than me because that ain't me.
Most of the time it's, hey, here you go. How much to do detailing? Here you go.
$40, done, brother.
Huh?
$40, done.
That's right. That's right. Here you go. No, but we all have our priorities, bro. There's things we enjoy doing. There's things we don't enjoy doing. So we'll make the time for the things we want to do. The stuff that we have to do, but we don't want to do right now, just because of the situation, we'll probably do as much of it as we will tolerate. But I guarantee you, the moment certain restrictions are lifted, we're going right back to the way it was.
Oh yeah. Well,
on certain things.
One of the things that we catch ourselves doing more now than ever is watching more TV. Watching more. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it yet. I know you and Kat, you and your wife, your tastes are a little bit different from mine.
Right.
But like, have you seen the Tiger King?
Actually, we did. We sat down. We made a commitment this past weekend to really try and watch it. Not because I really had a huge desire to, but everybody's talking about it. Everybody's been, you see certain references made on social media, and we just finally said, you know what, let's give it a shot. Let's go see what it's about. And I'm telling you, you're absolutely right. It's like watching a train wreck and not being able to take your eyes off of it. But I cannot believe that there is a part of our society that is shelling out $250 or whatever they're paying, or they're charging at some of these places,
just to go touch a cat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. One thing that I took away from that shocked me more than anything else out of that whole series is the fact that somewhere in the United States of America, I can buy a tiger for $2,000. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, I know. That's scary.
If I didn't think how insane it would be to own a tiger in my backyard, and I just, if I didn't have that kind of mentality to say I couldn't handle taking care of a tiger, I would have been one of the first ones in line calling Joe Exotic going, hey dude, I got $2,000. What can you get me?
Right. No, it is scary. And, earlier you made a reference about how nature has a tendency to put us in check.
Yeah.
One of these days, if it hadn't already happened, one of those guys getting eaten, or at least enough of their appendages taken off.
Well, yeah, like the guy that got his arm tore off. The female that identified as a guy, Saf, got her arm taken off by a tiger while she was feeding it or whatever she was doing. He was doing whatever it is, but man,
and went back to work within 3 or 4 days. That's insane.
It is insane. The whole idea of the same. So I got to ask you, you've seen the entire documentary, right?
I haven't seen all. I think we still have one episode left. We've seen almost all of it.
Okay, so you definitely saw episode 3, I think it is, where they talk about Carol Baskins.
Yes.
Do you think she murdered her husband?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't. I have not talked. I have not asked one person. Any person that I talk to about it, and I've talked to probably, I've gotten into Facebook discussions with some people about it.
Right.
There is not one person convinced in America that she didn't
Right.
kill her husband, and that's
Right.
crazy to me. I think that the big thing that gives it away is when she starts talking about how, man, if the tiger's just playing with him because he has perfume on his shoes. If that tiger, you really want to kill somebody with a tiger, you slap them in sardine oil. Okay, come on now. Let's talk about that. How would you know that?
I mean, the thing that and it's everything is circumstantial, obviously, because there's no hard proof or evidence, but a lot of speculation. But I mean, some of his other confidants were all in the know that he was looking to divorce her, or that he was getting ready to, to call it quits with her, and then he disappears.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden his will is changed, and it's just there's just too many coincidences that that don't add up, and then on top of that, I don't get the sense in her interviews, the times that they talk to her, she doesn't get choked up. Like, you could tell she wasn't in love with him.
Like,
she was not in love with the guy.
Like, your husband just disappeared, and you're just okay with it,
Yeah. She says, well, the only ceremony we had for him is I got his death certificate and I blanked out. Before I knew it, it was nighttime. And I thought, I gotta be honest. To me, she's an evil genius.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
She's an evil genius. I mean, she gets the people to work for her for nothing. She gets volunteers. She operates on the auspices of being this big cat rescue.
Yeah.
And having this mission to save the tigers, yet she's breeding, yet she's charging
no than all these other places.
Yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, she already has money. She's making money. She's using social media to continue to create an empire. And she got away with murder.
I'll tell you what, man, that show just to me, it's just the embodiment of craziness.
Yeah, I would 100% concur with you on there.
The people that are involved, not just Joe Exotic, not just Carol Baskin, but the other guy.
That Doc what's his name?
Doc Antle.
Huh?
Doc Antle.
Yeah, Doc Antle.
One has got like 6 wives.
That dude is he's a cult leader. That guy is.
It blows my mind. Like when he's driving through his compound, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is where my girl lives, and this is on this one right next door is another house that we have for this girl, and then this girl lives in this house." I'm like, how many houses do you have on this compound? And it's not like you're looking at them; they're not like little sheds.
Right.
No, these are like 3-bedroom homes for a home for each one, and you're like, how in the hell can this dude afford to do that? But like you said, there's that one guy that they interviewed that said he went to 3 times in 1 week to the Doc Antle show.
Oh yeah.
At $250 a pop. Him and his wife, $500, $1,500 the dude spent in 3 days just to go look at cats, to go look at lions and tigers.
Yep. No, I'm with you, bro. I don't get it. I look at this thing and I don't know, sometimes you and I've had this discussion before about how some things are, to me, fake reality.
Yeah.
And so, I have a hard time sitting through this and thinking that all of this is on the up and up in terms of people actually being this crazy. I mean, there may be some batshit crazy people in this, and
Oh yeah.
there's no way you cannot come to that conclusion. I can't believe all of it is. So I think some of it is, scripted, if you will. But I mean, the fact that Joe Exotic is homosexual and he gets two guys to marry him that are heterosexual and be his husband.
Meth and cat, dude. That's all it takes. Meth and cat.
Dude, I don't know, man. It's just it's a bizarre world, and it's quite honestly something for me. It's a huge turnoff. I've just been watching it to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I can't tell you. Kathy can tell you how many times on the couch I just roll my eyes and go, "Oh my Lord, what the hell is wrong with people?"
Man, the guy who ran his campaign, sits there and watches his second husband, commit suicide by accident. It's not like he didn't do it on purpose, and I think that kind of goes through and but to go back to work the next day,
not
in
only
the same
that
office,
I mean, when they first started interviewing him, the message I kind of get from him is the guy thought this was so bizarre. I can't believe I actually did this. It was the worst job I ever had. I mean, those are words out of his mouth. But yet after the Travis commits suicide or accidentally kills himself, he says, well, after that, I just couldn't leave Joe. He was in such an emotional state. And I thought, run for the hills.
Do it.
What is wrong with you?
It just, man, that whole documentary just kind of blew my mind. And we watched, we went through it twice.
Oh, really? You watched it twice?
Well, the first time was because I only had a passing interest. She had it on and she was watching it, and I was, just happened to be in the room, and I catch a few things and I'm like, did I just hear that right? Okay, well, go back to doing what I'm doing. And it kind of caught my attention. And by that time she was already into the 5th or 6th episode. And, I when it was over, I got to go back and start this again because there are so many things that I missed. And I watched it through a second time.
Right.
And I was like, I'm like you, what is wrong with people?
Right.
I cannot believe that there are actually people out there that are like this. And
well, by extension, bro, what's wrong with us?
Because we watch it. That's
exactly.
I thought about that too. I was like, what is wrong with me that I just spent, there's 7 episodes at 45 minutes an episode.
Right.
So, hour and a half for 2 episodes, 3 hours for 3, 4.5 hours. So basically 6 hours of my life watching this mess and going at the end. By the end of it, I was thinking to myself, what did I just put myself through? But
you almost got to go get a shower after you get through it.
No, but what's funny is there are so many shows that are like that I watch that I'm like, I'm not big on reality TV. I don't.
Right. Neither am I.
I don't watch a lot of reality TV. A lot of the shows that I watch are scripted shows.
Right.
I can't get into the Kardashians and the Bachelors and there's not even any guy reality shows that I like.
No.
Just because to me, I'm like, man, there's no way that these people can be real. They just aren't. I can't believe it.
Right.
But they're out there.
Yeah, they are. There are.
But throughout this, I just catch myself going back and watching shows that I used to like. Scrubs. I rewatched the entire series of Scrubs again, just because it's one of my favorite shows. I love that show. But what are you guys watching?
We've been watching Person of Interest, Designated Survivor. I've been watching The Community, Arrested Development.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to watch the Ozarks 3rd season. I've been patiently waiting for us to kind of find the right time to sit down and watch that together. That was have you watched that at all? The Ozarks?
No, I watched like the first episode or 2.
Yeah.
I just couldn't hang with it. I don't know. I'm real bad about getting into a series or starting a series and then bailing really quickly on it. You know,
Right.
And there's some series that it takes me a minute to get into. Game of Thrones. I wasn't real big into Game of Thrones at the very beginning, but there was one episode that my wife was watching that I kind of caught. Was like, oh, holy shit, that was awesome. And so
Yeah.
I had to watch, and so went back to the beginning and started watching just to catch up to the point where I was and finish out the season once Game of Thrones was over, the series. But I'm real bad about getting into a series. If I don't like it, I'm usually out within 2 episodes. Ozark was one of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm the same way. We've tried other series, and I'm usually out. If by the 3rd episode I haven't bought into it, I abandon it. Kathy will finish. She's watched a few series that where we got started, and I bailed, but she continues to watch. We started Better Call Saul. I want to kind of pick that up, but we just got, we've got so much stuff to watch. It's really hard to, and I'm not one of those guys that can sit on the couch for 4 hours and binge watch. I can't do that. So I've got to, number one, be in the mood to sit down and watch stuff. And I prefer movies over some of the episode, some of the series. So I'll tend to go watch movies, even if they're B movies, just because I know it's the storyline will be wrapped up in an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then I'm done. I don't have to worry about it. But I mean, we're spending enough time too much time watching TV.
Yeah.
I prefer to watch sports when it's available. But right now we're not got anything really to watch. But I think that's a topic we can pick up on one of our next episodes. I do want to talk about esports, and if you're getting into that. So let's maybe project that for one of our next episodes.
Sure.
I see here we've been rolling for a little over an hour. Yeah. I think it's time we kind of draw to a close here for this episode. We want to thank you guys for really giving us your time. We've enjoyed talking. If you guys have any topics that you think that you'd like to hear, or something we talked about that you'd like to voice your opinion or have us talk about more, feel free to drop a like and some suggestions and a subscribe, and we'd greatly appreciate it. And hopefully we can get this podcast series taken off and have fun with it. And I think you see here that Jay and I, we really enjoy just talking about all kinds of stuff. That's kind of how we came up with the name, now that you mention it, because we just start talking and we may ramble a little bit, but we have a good time doing it. So we really appreciate you guys being a part of this. Until next time, I'm Roll.
I'm Jay.
And we thank you. And shout out to Jesse P, because we could not ever do this without you. So until next time, thanks, guys.
Thanks.